Now that Labor Day is done, I feel like fall is fastly approaching. So we're going to go ahead and take a walk through the gardens today and point out some perennial plants that are perfect for color in your fall gardens. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and it's always fun to see what's blooming in what month and how to just create the best looking garden throughout the summer. And I always feel like once we get to August, the beginning of September, we kind of start feeling maybe, or at least I do, kind of a little bit of a lack of color in the garden. But as we're walking through these gardens today, there's going to be a lot of things that I think maybe you haven't thought of before, or just maybe weren't on your radar, that are going to add color to that late summer garden. So let's go ahead and take a walk through the garden. This has been a really fun area in the garden to watch as it's transformed from month to month. This here is actually a drought-tolerant garden, so a lot of the plants I'm going to talk about in this first part of the video is going to feature plants that not only have that late season color appeal, but also are well suited for drier areas in your garden. We're going to see a lot of sedum in here, and we're going to see various types of sedum. Some are going to be taller sedum, some will be ground covers. The other nice thing that sedum has is various foliage colors as well as flower colors. So we'll take a closer look at some of these as we're walking through this bed. Also, there's a lot of grass in this bed, and the grass just adds a lot of nice motion, which is fun, especially in the fall garden, to just watch how those plumes just blow in the breeze. Kniphofia are starting to put on some secondary blooms. These were blooming midsummer in July, but you can see how they're still kicking out a few flowers there for this later season interest. Here's a beautiful sedum. This is sedum coral jade, and it's got gorgeous light pink, dark pink, various shades of pink of the blooms. And then it's got kind of a jadish green color foliage. It's really fun to just see all of the various different colors of sedum. I know for myself, you don't realize how many different colors there are. Here's a low-growing sedum. This is the yellow brick road sedum. It's only about 2 inches tall, maybe 3 inches with that flower spike. And it's got nice, dense, tight, low-growing green foliage with yellow blooms. It's a great ground cover. This is a perfect addition to a rock garden. Behind it is Allium serendipity. And serendipity has been blooming now for well over a month with its gorgeous globe-shaped blooms. I love how they dance in the breeze. And it's also so fun to watch the pollinators that are just enjoying these plants. So many big, huge bumblebees right now on that Allium serendipity. As we cross over the aisle, we have some more of that yellow brick road sedum, and just showing you how it makes a nice path or ground cover with that bright yellow bloom. More mass plantings of the Allium serendipity as well, and it just really kind of is a nice look in this garden bed. I just love mass plantings, and they did such a nice job with that with the Allium serendipity. Behind Allium serendipity is Russian sage, which is a landscaper favorite shrub. You see a Russian sage a lot of times in landscapes because it does have that late season appeal. It's drought tolerant, it's fairly easy to grow and care for. So a lot of times you will see Russian sage in landscape designs. I love how you can see the beautiful purple blooms from a long way off, and it is fairly long blooming. Sedum neon has bubblegum pink blooms, but the thing I think is really pretty with sedum neon is it's got that neon green foliage. So even when this flower is, or even when this plant is not flowering yet, that foliage really pops in this garden bed. So it's not always about the flower, it's about the foliage as well. Behind it, there's some gorgeous butterfly bushes right now just swaying in the breeze. That is the Grand Cascade series of butterfly bush, which has really huge cascading blooms. And just look at that baby as it's dancing around in the breeze. This plant is about 4.5 to 5 foot tall. There's a grouping here of, it looks like there's 4 plants in this bed. So it's really kind of an anchor to this garden space. And oh, it smells so gorgeous. It's just such a fragrant summer blooming plant. Fall in Love Sweetly Anemone is a great plant for that late season color. We're just the beginning here of September, and you can see it's just starting to crack open with those beautiful pink blooms. Look a little closer and you'll see there's just so many buds waiting to open. So this definitely is going to be one of those plants that's going to hold you, at least here in West Michigan in our Zone 6A garden, probably until the end of September with those pink flowers. From a distance, I feel like this anemone almost looks like a garden mum, just due to its really dense mounding habit. And even from a distance too, those flowers, they're a double flower. They almost look like a mum flower. This is a great plant for those late season pollinators as well. And they add a lot of motion here as they're dancing in the garden. Sedum lemon jade is a very tone-on-tone sedum with its lime green foliage and its lime green flowers. So right now this plant is in full bloom. So that is what the lemon jade looks like when it is in full bloom. We have a few hibiscus who are still putting on some color. And the thing I think is interesting this time of year, we've gotten a little bit of cooler nights lately, and the hibiscus really kind of take a different look as it does get cooler. So I wanted to show you this one here because this is really showing you what I wanted to point out is when the nights do start getting cooler, hibiscus will start taking on more of a yellow coloration to their foliage. They go dormant earlier, or the leaves start to kind of fizzle and fade earlier than what other perennials do. So if you notice your hardy hibiscus are starting to turn yellow a little bit, it just has to do with those cooler temperatures now that it's turning into fall. Look at this gorgeous one here, French vanilla. French vanilla's got really soft vanilla color blooms, heavily ruffled. This is one of the later ones to bloom, so we can see this one still is putting on a lot of color, where there's other ones we may see today that are almost finished with their blooming. I think one of my favorite ornamental grasses is the totem pole grass, and it's because I like the habit of it. This is the Panicum Prairie Wind Series totem pole. It's about 6 foot tall or so. It's got really wide blue-green blades of grass. It's very columnar in its habit, and it's got those airy, just very light feeling seed heads on it. Look how pretty that totem pole is as it blows in the breeze. Here's some more of that Fall in Love Sweetly Anemone, and that is just such a great punch of color. You can see there's not a lot going on. We're in a part shade garden right now, so there's a lot of hostas and spent astilbes and such. But the color you're seeing right now, it's that Fall in Love Sweetly Anemone. Another plant you're seeing some foliage color on is actually an astilbe called Dragon's Lair. And this is a variety that I talked about earlier this summer in some of my videos. This is one that's a future introduction. It'll probably be a year or two before it's actually released to the public. But look at that nice, deep, dark black foliage, how that looks popped up against those greens and the yellows of the hostas in this garden bed. If you're looking for a mass planting, this is a wonderful late summer color addition. And this is the Rudbeckia, also known as Black-Eyed Susan. Just look at that massive splash of color. In the background there, you're seeing more of that Russian sage. That's always a great pairing, Russian sage and Black-Eyed Susans together. Also, there's some tall phlox in here that is doing a rebloom. So this is where you're getting those secondary blooms off of a plant that looked fantastic earlier in the season. These here were not deadheaded, but this is something that if you wanted to deadhead it, you could, for even a cleaner and more prolific look of color for later on in the season. It's the time of year when the Amsonia foliage starts turning to its gorgeous fall color. And here you can see the gorgeous yellows, and this is going to continue to turn even more shades of orange as the nights continue to cool. I love the very fine foliage on this Amsonia, and just loving how it pops up against, again, the darker shades of green and almost burgundy here in the garden. One thing I saw as I was walking out this way was Alstroemeria. I love Alstroemeria. It is literally one of a handful of the longest blooming perennials that you could plant in your garden. This Alstroemeria is over 3 foot tall. And look at those gorgeous orange and yellow blooms. Just a nice huge clump of this planted around that tree. And man, if you're looking for a great cut flower, but also a flower that blooms and blooms and blooms, Alstroemeria is a must-have in the garden. Here's a gorgeous Spigelia that is putting on a rebloom. Spigelia is actually a native perennial that can be grown in full sun to full shade gardens. Right now, this one here is in more of a part shade area. And just look at those gorgeous red blooms. This is a plant that the hummingbirds love. Anything with that tubular flower on it is something that usually is a good indicator that it's a plant that the hummingbirds will be visiting. Although they were blooming earlier in the season, these are looking gorgeous. I love that deep dark burgundy tones on them. And then those tall spiky flowers. Right now they're pretty much to the end of their bloom cycle, but even when they're done blooming, these splint blooms are so beautiful. There's a few different ones here planted in this garden bed, and you can see how they're all sending up those nice tall flower spikes. It adds another kind of fun and whimsy feel into the garden. Gorgeous hibiscus with this deep dark foliage. This one has been blooming for probably a good month now. I believe this one is the edge of night with that dark foliage and gorgeous, beautiful pink blooms. This is a shorter variety, which I like. It's only about 3 foot tall, but that dark black foliage and those bright magenta blooms have such a spectacular contrast of color, and I just love how it pops in this garden space. And the last plant we'll end with today's video is this gorgeous sedum that started off the video. This is a sedum strawberry milkshake with its deep dark black foliage and its bright magenta red blooms. That is such a gorgeous splash of color in this bed, and I'm just loving what it's doing in this garden. Thank you for walking through the garden with me today. If you have any questions or comments on any of these gorgeous perennials that we've seen today, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you're new to our channel, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.